There are many milestone birthdays in our lives, you know, Lordy, I'm 40, nifty 50. But from a medical and financial planning standpoint, turning 65 is one of the most important years. That age impacts many of our long-term decisions. Cesar Chacon is the owner of the Insurance Hub and a licensed broker, and he joins us to tell us more. Welcome, Cesar. Great to see you again.
Great. Thank you for having me again.
Okay, 65, big important year. Yep. What are the most important things that we need to consider in terms of planning?
Well, as morbid as it sounds, when you turn 60, you start planning for the last third of your life.
Okay.
And there are several things that when we're younger, we think we're invincible. We're not going to get older, so our money's not going to run out. So a lot of the things that folks need to start thinking about it are several things. What do you do about your Medicare? Mm-hmm. What do you do about your Social Security, which is a very important topic? Long-term care is a very, very crucial, important topic. And then the other one is just what do you do about your investments? You're retiring with your 401k, you're retiring with an IRA. What do you do with that? You know, how do you make that sustain?
Okay, let's start with Social Security, because I'm not to 65 yet, yep, but I've been working for decades. So I have this big, huge
yeah,
pile of Social Security
yeah,
that I'm antsy to make come
yeah,
to use at some point. So once I get closer to 65, what decision do I need to make? Because I sure hope that's all coming to me.
Yeah. Well, the neat thing about that is if you're still working, you can delay that Social Security until, you know, you're age 66. If you take it before age 66, a portion of that has to be paid back to Social Security, because you can only make a certain dollar amount, okay, you know, through age 65. If you're drawing Social Security early and you're working, you're going to have to pay some of that back. You can only make so much.
Okay, so it sounds like the first decision is, do I take it right at 65 or do I delay?
That is correct.
Okay.
And a lot of folks that are still working, they want to continue working, they're 65. Believe me when I tell you, when I meet with a lot of 65s, they're still young, vibrant. Sure. I'm 53 and they seem younger than me. They still want to keep going. And so it's important, you know, to decide, you know, do you want to take your Social Security right away? Do you want to delay it? A lot of folks delay it till they're 70. Their financial advisors say, yeah, don't take it till you're 70. I think that's a mistake, but that's just
okay. So to take or not to take, that's mostly the Social Security question. Yeah. You mentioned Medicare as well, and I know this is right in your wheelhouse with insurance. Yeah. There's not a lot of decision to make, is there? I mean, it's finally a benefit we get.
Right, right. That's, again, it could be delayed for a future date. You could decide to take it at 65. I think it's one of the best programs out there. Sometimes the employer you'll have to pay a certain dollar amount to have your employer coverage, whereas Medicare, a lot of the plans that are out there are zero plan premiums. They're really good, no deductibles. And so the decision of whether or not to stay with your employer plan or to go to Medicare is an important one. When do you do it? How do you do it? You know, do you have to apply for Part B, which is always a very important question. And it's just one of those things that just cascades. What do I do about Social Security? When do I do Medicare? You know, and then a lot of folks don't even think about the long-term care. And
yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah. You know, you said at the beginning, we do need to think about, you know, the last 1/3 of our life, if you will. But listen, getting to 90 probably wouldn't make any of us too sad. So looking at it that way, or even 95, a good way to look at it. But we do often need more care. So how do we prepare for that?
Well, it's one of those things that nobody ever wants to talk about, ever. You know, do I want to go into a nursing home? Nobody wants to go into a nursing home. I don't want to go into a nursing home. But sometimes they're a necessary thing. You end up having a stroke, or you're in a vegetative state and your family can't care for you. These institutions are very good at taking care of your family.
And also very expensive. So how do we prepare?
Well, you have to start planning early. You can't start planning when the events start happening. Alzheimer's or some deliberate some stroke, some heart attack, or whatever that keeps you in bed. And so you should start planning, you know, 55. You know, around your age 55 to 60 is a good time to plan, because the longer you wait, the more expensive it becomes. And the more, unfortunately, we end up getting more illnesses, and we're not as healthy anymore. So the earlier the better, the cheaper it is, and more planning. If I could just say on the planning side, if you plan ahead, you could probably plan on staying at home instead of going into a home. If you critically just plan, you know, the events of what happens.
Right.
you know, with your retirement.
Start watching your savings, start allocating things. Yeah, it's tough because none of these are life events that we particularly want to think about, but you certainly have brought up some really great points about why it is important, to get ahead of that aging clock. All right, Cesar will be hosting a special event. It's coming up on March 16th at the Grove in Lakewood Ranch. If you or anyone you know is turning 65 soon, you will want to be there. They're going to talk more about those 3 things you really need to know: Social Security, Medicare, and long-term care solutions. And for more information and to contact Cesar, you can go to theinsurancehub.net T65. We'll be right back.